This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome to Chapter 1 of Personal Branding for Professionals, where we're diving into why building your personal brand isn't just nice to have anymore. It's essential for getting ahead in your career. We'll explore how the right personal brand can open doors, create opportunities, and help you stand out in today's competitive job market. Let's get into it. A hiring manager types your name into Google. Before your resume even loads, your LinkedIn posts, that old conference talk, and a random tweet decide whether they lean in or click away. In a world this searchable, your personal brand is already speaking. The question is, what's it saying? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Silence is also a signal. If someone searches your name and finds almost nothing, they don't see neutral, they see unknown. And in high-stakes contexts, hiring, promotions, strategic projects, unknown usually loses to known, even if the known person is slightly less qualified. That's the quiet bias of the digital age. Visibility often beats perfection. This isn't about turning yourself into a walking advertisement. It's about making your work, thinking, and values findable in the right places, by the right people, at the right moments. Just like a well-curated playlist helps listeners quickly grasp an artist's style, a thoughtfully managed online presence helps others quickly understand where you do your best work, and whether you're the person they've been looking for without realizing it. Here's where the stakes get real. Decision makers now meet you long before you meet them. A mutual connection shares your post, your name pops up in a Slack channel, your comment on a niche forum gets screenshotted into a hiring group chat. None of this is formal, yet it quietly shapes whether people see you as a safe bet, a stretch, or a standout. Think of how you skim restaurant reviews. You're not reading every word, you're scanning for patterns. People do the same with your digital traces, assembling a story about your reliability, judgment, and momentum from tiny, scattered signals. Here's the twist professionals in tech often miss. Your personal brand isn't mainly for strangers. It quietly reshapes how people who already know you think about you. Colleagues might know your title, your team, maybe the last project you shipped. But do they see you as the go-to for untangling legacy systems? The person who translates AI jargon for leadership? Or just nice, reliable, gets things done? The story in their heads determines who gets tagged in opportunity-filled threads, who's invited into early product conversations, and who gets skipped when stakes are high and time is short. The data backs this up. If 85% of roles are filled through networking, that means career-defining moves are often decided in quick, informal moments. We need someone who understands developer tooling and can present to customers. Anyone come to mind? Your personal brand is what makes your name surface in that split second. Or not. This is also why "I'll just let my work speak for itself" is riskier than it sounds. Your work is invisible outside its immediate context unless you give it a narrative and a place to live where others can encounter it. A clean GitHub repo, a short LinkedIn breakdown of how you solved a nasty performance issue, a concise conference recap on your blog. These artifacts turn isolated wins into visible expertise. And because people trust people more than logos, you become a multiplier for whatever you're attached to. When you explain your company's new API in plain language, you're not only helping the brand, you're accruing credibility as someone who makes complex things usable. When you share lessons from a failed experiment, you're branding yourself as the kind of professional others want to build with. Reflective, transparent, learning in public. The trap is thinking this requires loud self-promotion or extroversion. It doesn't. It requires pattern, not volume. Repeatedly showing up in ways that make it obvious what you're great at, what you care about, and how you create value. Over time, that pattern becomes the shorthand others use when your name circulates in rooms you're not in. Your challenge this week: track every time your name is used in group contexts. Slack mentions, email CCs, meeting invites, looping you in messages. For each one, quickly jot down 1. What were they associating you with? 2. Is that the kind of work or reputation you want more of? After 7 days, look for mismatches. If people mostly tap you as firefighter, but you want to be seen as architect, that's your signal. Your next public posts, comments, or internal write-ups should spotlight the thinking, frameworks, and decisions behind your work, not just your ability to rescue projects at the last minute. Think about the last 3 professionals you followed on LinkedIn or Twitter. Odds are, it wasn't because of their title. It was because a single post, talk, or thread made you think, they see something others don't. That tiny moment of recognition is where personal branding starts to compound. In tech, this often looks like small, specific signals. A staff engineer who regularly shares before-after diagrams of refactors. A PM who posts short teardown threads of onboarding flows. A data scientist who open sources one carefully documented notebook each quarter. None of them are shouting. They're just leaving consistent breadcrumbs that point to a clear kind of thinking. Use simple, repeatable formats. 1 problem, 3 options I weighed, 1 decision and why, or what surprised me most about shipping X? Over time, those patterns turn into a recognizable voice of judgment others rely on, especially when projects are ambiguous and the path forward isn't on any roadmap. Soon, AI will churn out decent, expert content on every topic, so the scarce signal becomes, who do we believe and why? That's where traceable work, consistent voice, and verifiable craft matter. Think of future platforms less like billboards and more like passports, stamped with talks you gave, code you shipped, peers who vouch for you. In noisy markets, people will look past generic polish and ask, where have you actually been, and who trusts you there? Treat this less like polishing a logo and more like composing a set list. Pick a few songs you want to be known for. Maybe debugging, developer empathy, or clear road mapping, and rotate them live in public. As you do, notice who leans in, who shares, who asks for more. That feedback loop is your real-time clue that your signal is finally cutting through. Before next week, ask yourself, if someone scanned just my LinkedIn headline, last 3 posts, and profile photo for 10 seconds, what 3 words would they use to describe me? And do those match the reputation I actually want in my industry? Looking at the episode's point about showing your work, not your title, what is one concrete project, client win, or behind-the-scenes process I can share this week that demonstrates my expertise instead of just claiming it? When I search my own name on Google and scroll the first page, what's one specific thing I'm proud of? And what's one specific thing I'll deliberately update, delete, or create so that my online presence better reflects the value I bring right now? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!